Ladies and gentlemen, delegates, this is a ceremony that I'm a little bit sad because this is a closing ceremony. We have enjoyed so much with the kind hospitality of the host country organized by Saf and his team. And we have not enjoyed enough. Thanks to Ambassador Peterson, David Logan and his team. Can you give them a round of applause, please? To me, as a chair for the Congress Committee, I really feel that this is a memorial Congress that will keep us in mind for a long time. I would like really to express our sincere gratitude to Saf and his team that such an organization that is hard for the next host to fit in. And I think that the next host, Busan, is also ready, but it's a big competition. As I said, this is a closing ceremony. I would like to thank one and all for making this a great success. Round of applause to you, all of you. All of you have been such a great delegate of this Congress. And I think that the last night castle also was very good, even though I was not there. You know, I need to recharge the battery for today because we still have the gala dinner where you see me on stage again. And I'm gladly would like to do all the closing ceremony in every Congress. So next Congress I will still do it. And without much ado, I think we have quite a few things lined up, and we need to make this over, and then you all get back to your hotels and freshen up, dress up nicely in your tuxedo, black tie, and enjoy the gala dinner hosted by Saf. So, without much ado, I'd like to invite our only guest speaker, Mr. Richard Wright. He is a brain cancer survivor, and he would tell us his transformation story, and he shared his story with us in his own words. So may I invite Richard Wright to come and speak to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Before I go any further, I just want to say what an incredible privilege it is for me to be here and to share your closing ceremony. When I was asked to speak, obviously the first question I had to ask the organizers is, what on earth do you want with a brain cancer survivor at a freight conference? What have I got to share with you? But I think I've got an amazing message to share with you. And I love your where technology and logistics meet. I love that a lot. But I think the part that I want to put in here as part of your closing ceremony is, where do you fit? Where does the human fit in that little sentence? And that's really what I want to talk about today. So I'm going to share a bit of my story over the last 3 years in my fight against brain cancer. And then what I really want to do is to leave you with a couple of the lessons that I've learned through my struggle, which I know you'll be able to take, because every single person sitting here desires to be in a slightly different place on this day next year. And I know you'll be in a different conference in a different country, but not just that. So that's really what I want to talk about, and that means change. So, my clicker is, no, I'm pushing. No, I'm pushing hard. Okay, so that's really what I want to do. So I'm going to get right back into it, but without change, you can have no future, only a recurring past. So if you want to change something about your life, if you want to grow as a human being, if you want your business to be in a different place to where it is right now, something has to happen, and that is change. But the problem is, change is the thing that we are probably the worst at in our lives. And I'll give you an example. So I go for 365 days of the year, exercise-less. No exercise for a full year. On one day of the year, I decide that I want to change my entire life, and I'm now going to exercise. What day of the year is that? It's New Year's Day. It's the 1st of January. I'm now going to exercise. The alarm clock goes off. I wake up, I don't hit snooze. Why? Because I'm so keen to hit the gym. I put on my brand new gym kit. Why is it brand new? It's never been used. Why? Because I've told all my friends and family, hey everybody, I'm changing my life. I'm now going to become a gym addict. Please give me gym kit for Christmas. Everybody gives me gym kit. I go to the gym in my new kit and I hit the gym hard. I hit it a little bit too hard. The reason for that is why? I'm fresh. I've done nothing for a year. At some point in time in my session, I think to myself, wow, this is really cool. I should have done this. Why did it take me so long? I should have done this years ago. The next morning, the alarm clock goes off. The first thought through my head is what? Yo, I don't remember doing something in my butt, but my butt hurts. Everything feels like it's sore, but I'm still keen because it's only day number 2. I put on my second kit, brand new, because people gave me enough for 2 kits, and I go to the gym. At some point in time, it's not long, I think to myself, yo, it's a lot harder than it was yesterday. And then I make the fatal mistake of going to the gym. I want to go weigh myself on the, I've gone so blank now, on the scale, thank you very much, Tony. And I step on the scale, and I look down, I'm like, I weigh more than yesterday, what happened? Why? Because now there's so much blood that I'm carrying, because now I've done damage the previous day, my body's trying to heal itself, so I actually weigh more. And I think to myself, no wonder I haven't been to gym for a year, because this doesn't work. Day after that, day number 3, the alarm clock goes off. The first thought through my brain is what? Oh my goodness, a freight train. See what I did there? A freight train hit me during the night. Something's wrong, everything is sore. I hit the snooze button. I wake up, I hit it again. I just keep on hitting the snooze button, and then I decide I need to make an excuse. So I say to myself, do you know what, Richard? It's okay. What we're going to do is we're going to put our gym kit into a bag, into the boot of our car, and on the way home from work, we're going to go past the gym. Is that ever going to happen? Never going to happen. So I start bargaining with myself that evening. And this is what I say to myself. I say, Richard, it's okay. Do you know what we're going to do? Tomorrow morning, we're going to do a double session. So we haven't missed anything, we'll play catch up. Can you guys relate? Yes, we've all been there. Next morning, now I've set myself up. In my brain, I've set myself up for failure. The alarm clock goes off. The first thought through my head is, what? It's this. It's, oh, I promised myself only 1 glass of wine last night, and I ended up having the glass that it came in. That wasn't so good. Like, do you know what? I tell you what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do a double session on the way home from work. Never going to happen. Day number 5, the alarm clock goes off. And I say to myself, do you know what, Richard? We've missed a couple of days. Let's just write off this week, and we'll start again on Monday. Because all the good stuff starts on a Monday. What we've tried to do is we've tried to change our behavior and change everything when that isn't how it works. We need to change the thoughts in our head first, because if we can change that, the behavior will follow. It's called the law of attraction. So this is what I'm about, and here's a quick video.
Richard Wright could not hide his emotions as he ran up the red carpet to be welcomed home by his adoring daughters.
Physically, it should be possible. I didn't put in the mouth, I didn't put in the time. It was pure sheer determination and willpower that I'm going to in the water. I'm going to beat this thing. And then crossing that type of girls, it was just Maggie put me around my neck and the girls tagged me. It was just the most amazing moment.
Richard will fight hard to be on the start line in 2018.
So the question I get asked probably most frequently is, Richard, how on earth did you get to the finish line of a full Ironman race with stage 4 brain cancer? And that's a good question, because for a lot of my struggle, I looked like that person there. I looked like a cancer victim. Something had to change, and what was that? So I know that you might not relate to the cancer, but I know that every single person sitting here has got obstacles, and I've got things that are sitting in the way of you getting to where you want to be. So a lot of people, when I finish speaking, will say to me, Richard, I sat there listening to you, and I felt guilty about the things that I worry about. They looked, and they felt so trivial when I juxtaposed them in terms of your cancer struggle. And I don't want you to do that, because every single one of us has got struggles. Every single one of us has got obstacles, and those obstacles are relevant to you and all relative. There's no hierarchy of struggles that says this obstacle is higher than that obstacle, and that doesn't exist. My job is to help you to identify those obstacles, to figure out which ones you can change, which ones you can do something about, and then how to figure out accepting what you can't change, and figure out how to change the thoughts in your head so that you can move forward. That's my job. And if I can do that today, I believe I can help you to be in a different place on this day next year. And I'd like to inspire you to do that. So, I'm hitting this hard. Like, I really am. Right, there we go. So my talk today is called Where's the Finish Line? And you'll notice we all have these finish lines in our lives. It might be I want to get fitter, it might be I want to lose weight, it might be I want to increase the productivity of my team, it might be I want to increase my supply chain, whatever it is. There are finish lines to everything that we have that we do in our lives. But you'll notice that there are 3 letters that are a different color and that they're bold. So WTF. So that's what happens, because so often our finish lines change or disappear. So what I'm going to do just now is to share with you my ultimate finish line, and that is the World Ironman Champs. But here's the quote that I started with: without change, you can have no future, only a recurring past. In other words, if I step into today, and I do today what I did yesterday, have I got today? No. I've got another yesterday. In other words, something has to change for me to have a future. And I love this question. I ask people, what are you good at? And the first thing people do is they look back to their past to say, oh, I'm good at that. How do you know that? Because I've done it. How do you know how many things could you be good at, but you don't know that you're good at them because you've never stepped into that future? So my challenge to you is that every single day of your life, you do something differently, and you try and rewire your brain to do different things, because that's how we grow, and that's how we get into a different place on this day next year. So this place here is called Hawaii. Is anybody here from Hawaii? Been there? That's better. Well, I'm not going to spoil the story. So that's Hawaii, Kona. And the reason it's there is the World Ironman Championships are held there every single year. In fact, the race is next weekend on Sunday. For those of you who don't know, an Ironman triathlon is made up of a 3.8 kilometer swim. In Kona, it's in the sea. You can't just enter this race, you have to qualify to go there. You have to win your age group or come in the top 3 in your age group in any of the major Ironman races worldwide. After the 3.8 kilometer swim, which is really the warm-up of the race, you climb out and you head into a transition area called T1. This is where you swap your swimming goggles and your cap for a bicycle, and you head out on your bicycle into the lava fields in Kona. It is always hot there, It's always windy. It's an incredibly hard 180 kilometer cycle. But that's also not the hardest part of the race. You climb off your bike after 180 kilometers in the saddle, and then you swap your bicycle for some running shoes, and you start your journey of a 42.2 kilometer run, which is a full marathon. You've got to have something wrong with you to do that race. Not really. So there's always a place in the run where you hit this very dark place, and the thoughts in your head will determine whether you're going to carry on or whether you're going to walk. 70% of the field will finish after dark. You've got 17 hours to complete this event in, but the elation of finishing an Ironman is second to almost nothing. The feeling of accomplishment. Every single person who gets through an Ironman has to go through a personal journey of overcoming things. So let's just savor one or two people there. And I've got a PowerPoint presentation transition that I'm going to use now. It's the only time I've ever used it. Because you see, I've qualified for this race twice. I've won my age group in Ironman South Africa. I've come 16th overall in the race. It was something I was really good at. I qualified for this race, I paid for my slot, and we're going to watch the slot disappear like this. There it goes. Unfortunately, you can make it go back as well, watch. Such a corny transition. But there it goes. Life happened and I've never been. This is my greatest, one of the greatest goals in my life is to go to World Champs in Kona. I'm watching my social media right now and all my friends that are going to the race. And next weekend I'm like, oh my goodness. But life happened. And that's what happens with a lot of what we plan. We plan to be in a different place on this day next year, and then something happens. What? WTF? How do we manage that? So, life happened. I think because it's so bad, and I think because it's over, we're now finished. FIATA 2019 is done. It's really depressing. You guys have got to go back to your countries, which I know are not nearly as good as my country. Your countries don't look like Cape Town. So because it's so bad, I think what we should do is do the non-breathing experiment. We're just going to end it now. Actually, the reason for that is the organizers didn't pay for the event this evening, so it's not happening. No, I'm just kidding. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold our breath for as long as it takes. And then we're just going to gracefully pass on. There are two rules. There's no laughing. Why would you laugh? We're going to die. There are two rules. Rule number one is it's a non-assist experiment. In other words, no matter how much you might like to help the gentleman next to you, please don't. And then rule number two, when somebody says to you, hold your breath, what is the first thing that you do? You take in the biggest breath you possibly can. I don't want you to do that because it's going to take longer to die. So what we're going to do, on the count of 3, are you ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, and blow out. I've got lung issues, I'm out. Anybody still not breathing? There are a couple. These are A-type personalities. How are we doing? Breathing. You're breathing? Still in? Whew. Okay, so you'll notice I didn't ask you to sign a disclaimer when you came in, so that should have been a clue. So the only question I want to ask you is, but did you die? No. And no, you didn't die. And you didn't die for two very good reasons. Reason number one is because you didn't want to enough. You didn't want to die, so you didn't. Isn't that amazing? And reason number two is also quite compelling, because your body will always win. You see, at some point in time, it's impossible to kill yourself by holding your breath, even if you really want to. Because at some point in time, your brain is going to be starved of oxygen, you're going to black out, and at that point in time, and this is important, your brain is no longer in control. And when your brain is not in control, your body says, woo, we can breathe, I want to live. There are very few things in this lifetime that are going to kill you. Very few. But for anything that you want to change in your life, you've got 3 choices. Let me take you through them. That's 4. There are 3 choices. I can tell you why I don't do that. I normally do this one, because somewhere you'll end up using the wrong finger. But anyway, so, non-breathing experiment. Your choice number 1 was, I am going to choose failure. Some of you chose to fail straight away. You looked at me and you said, what the hell is wrong with this guy that he's trying to kill us all? I'm not going to do this. For some of you, you pretended and you did this, you blew out and then you held your like, but you're going through your nose. I saw you. What was the outcome? You chose to fail, yet you survived. You chose to fail. You chose not to do something and you survived. Choice number 2 was, I'm going to hold my breath for a bit. Let's see where this crazy guy is going. He's done Ironman, he must be cuckoo. Let's see where he's going. And you held your breath for a bit until what? Until the thoughts in your head became too strong. It became too hard. You're like, oh, this is too hard, oh, and then you gave up. And when you gave up, what happened? You survived it. The identical outcome was survival. Choice number 3 was, like the gentleman over there, I'm in it to win it. I will do whatever it takes. I'm an A-type personality. All I need to do is outlast the person next to me. Like, will you please give up, give up, give up. And even if you were in it to win it, blackout, failure, survival. In other words, all 3 led to the same outcome. Or did they? You see, they didn't. In anything that you want to change in your life, you've got 3 choices. Choice number 1 is, I'm not even going to bother to start. And do you know what stops us from starting stuff? Is the fear in our head. I fear that I won't be able to do this. I fear that it's too hard. I'm not going to be doing an Ironman because that guy mentioned 17 hours. Hell! 17 hours of doing what? Exercise. Never! I fear I won't. I fear that I won't get the results I want. I fear that I'm not good enough. I fear that there's something that's going to stop me from overcoming what I need to overcome to get there, so I'm not even going to bother to start. Choice number 2 is, I'm going to start, but as soon as it gets hard, I'm going to stop. And choice number 3 is, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to this place. And every single one of you knows this for a fact. Nothing substantial in your life, nothing significant in your life was ever achieved because it was easy. Am I right in saying that? Your businesses, what you've built of your life, it cost you. It cost you. Everything in life that means anything costs you. If it doesn't challenge you, it will not change you. If it doesn't challenge you, it will not change you. So we ran through this. It's a 3.8 kilometer swim, it's a 180 kilometer cycle, and it's a 42 kilometer run. But that's not what an Ironman is. An Ironman is a 226 kilometer brain exercise. If I had to start an Ironman and the first stroke in the water, I'm thinking of the finish line, mind blown. It's too long. We want to change things. Change happens in tiny little things. And the problem is we're impatient. We want change to happen now. We want big change now. And that's not how change happens. We've got this obsession with going back to the past. We believe if we could go back to the past and change one little thing, if I could just have met that woman, wow, how different my life would have been. If I could just not have met that woman, how different my life would have been. We believe that if we could just change that one little thing, our entire lives would have changed. Why do you have to go back to the past? Do you realize if you just change one tiny little thing in how you think, your entire future is different. You have that power right now to change anything about your life. So, in 2015, I found out that I'm not so invincible. That all of a sudden I was training and I knew something was wrong. I had been diagnosed in 2004 with a little tumor on my pituitary gland. And if you don't know what your pituitary gland looks like, that's what it is. And it's right in the center of your brain. It controls the major hormones in your body. So if something is wrong with your pituitary gland, something is wrong with your body. But I was determined. This tumor was benign, non-cancerous. So for 12 years, I was able to manage it. And at this particular time, in 2015, I knew that there was something badly wrong. It felt like this thing was on steroids. But I was determined that I was going to go and do the race. It's called a prolactinoma. For the men in the room, I'll explain what prolactin is. You don't need it. It's what your prolactin secretes when you are pregnant and then when you have the baby to lactate, to breastfeed. It is what your brain secretes to make you lactate. As I said, as men, we don't need it. My prolactin levels were higher than that of a lactating woman, which is why I wear dark clothing. I'm just kidding. It's a side effect in men that you can lactate, but fortunately, never happened to me. But we were able to manage this. At that point in time, I knew that it was important for me to continue to do the race the next year. So the Ironman was the next year in April, but between Christmas Day and April, I swam one swimming session. I cycled 8 times and I ran 10 times, no more than 12 kilometers in the run. I was hideously unprepared, but I'd done it before, I knew what to expect, and I wanted it that badly. Let me go back to the beginning. 3 choices. You can choose not to start, you can choose to start and stop when it gets hard, or you can choose to go the distance. Now, in athletics language, we've got a couple of terms, and when you look at the results sheet, this works sometimes, it doesn't work other times, and yeah, just start, damn it. Oh, now we're going back. So, a DNS is worse than a DNF. A DNS stands for did not start. Those are right at the bottom of the athletics results. You'll see the finisher's time, the person, the man or woman who won the event, then the times get slower and slower and slower, and then right at the bottom you get 2. DNF, did not finish. Started the race, and for whatever reason, somebody gave it their best attempt, but they didn't manage to finish. And as far as I'm concerned, a DNF is a lot better than a DNS. A DNS is somebody who said, I'm going to do this thing. I am going to, I pledge, I've entered. And they don't even get to the start line. And you know why most people don't get to the start line of something that they have entered? Their excuse is, I haven't done enough preparation. I am not ready. And because I'm not going to get the results that I want, I'm not going to do it. That's our ego getting in the way. And it actually damages us in the brain. So for me, I knew I just needed to go and do it. I finished the race. It was my slowest race that I've done on my own. And it was a real test of mental tenacity and how badly I wanted this thing. I knew it was important for me to finish because I knew something was wrong in my body. I'd been told by the neurosurgeon that there was a big chance that my tumor had become cancerous. Although it's freaky rare. 0.2% of all the people who have a pituitary tumor becomes cancerous. But that was the first time in my life that I heard the word cancer. This is what I look like when are you going to swap me out? Thank you so much, I really appreciate that. Thank you. So 5 days, this is a picture my daughter took. I know it's grainy, but I love it because she took it. And 5 days later, I knew that I was booked in for a lumbar puncture. They drill into your spine and take some spinal fluid because you can't determine brain cancer from blood because of the blood-brain barrier. So I was pretty confident that I didn't have cancer. I'd just done an Ironman. How's it possible to do an Ironman and I've got brain cancer? And then imagine my surprise when the neurosurgeon, we rushed the results through, and within 4 hours we had the results. I had to wait. And he said to me, Richard, it's cancer. I'd done the research. I'd made the mistake of Googling. It's what we do. When we have a bunch of ailments, we're like, I've got a headache, I've got nausea, and I've got this, so Google, what do I have? And Google says to you all the time, you are dying. That's what it says. I knew that my chances of surviving this were going to be really, really slim. People don't survive a pituitary tumor. So 5 days later, I went in, and straight away, I went to theatre. They booked a theatre straight away because it's an extremely aggressive form of cancer. And you might say to me, Richard, but that looks like a nose operation, not a brain operation. That's because they go in through your nose and they drill into the brain, and it's the best way to get there. It's non-invasive surgery. The only thing I wanted to know from the surgeon was, did you get it all? Did you take all of this cancer out? And his answer was a really good one. Richard, it was an intricate op. It took us longer than we expected. We had to take it out in tiny little pieces from the inside out. We had to scrape the pituitary because the tumor has tentacles that stick into healthy flesh. And I'm pretty confident that we got it all. So immediately it was, Richard, one, cancer, nothing. And then I said to him, but I've got this plaster on my stomach. What's this about? I know you can do, you can go through the groin to get to the heart, but it's a very long way to get to the brain. What's that about? And he said, no, what happens is we drill through into your brain, we drill through the bone, and we don't want you to leak brain fluid and become more stupid. So what we do is we take some fat from your stomach and we shove it up the hole to make sure you don't leak brain fluid. I was like, great! Did you get it all? The fat, I mean. So now I'm convinced when it's wintertime and I'm not training a bit and I start to get a bit, it's just the fat draining down from my brain. It's not new fat, it's old fat. But I was pretty confident that I'd beaten brain cancer. How amazing. I had to go for radiation just to make sure that the cancer didn't come back. And it's doing the same. There we go. And the 12th radiation treatment, you have a mask and they put radiation into your brain and it's 30 treatments, and then we added on another 35 treatments of radiation. And it was the 12th radiation treatment that they did an MRI to make sure they were hitting the right spot in my brain. And at that time, the results came back and the doctor looked at me and he said, Richard, you have got 6 months to live. It had come back and it had spread to the other side, the anterior lobe of my pituitary gland. It had spread to the underside of my brain, to the left ventricle. And at that time in my life, I was told you've got 6 months. And I guess if you think about it, it's the ultimate finish line, isn't it? What would go through your mind if you were told that you've got 6 months to live? I can tell you that it's very, very hard not to be a victim. It's incredibly hard not to be a victim. I raged. And the focus of my rage was my doctor. And I said to him, how dare you tell me I've got 6 months? Do you know who you're dealing with? That's an average. You have told me that if ever you could pick one person who is least likely to get this form of cancer, it would be me. How can you tell me I've got 6 months? And then you start to somehow try and accept it. And you suddenly realize that if you continue like a victim, you're not going to survive. You're not a victim of anything that you've been through in your life. And we'll chat about that just now. So I became what we term a cancer warrior. It was all about hashtag fighting cancer and overcoming cancer and I did absolutely everything I possibly could think of doing. I went on every diet. I tried every treatment because I wanted to beat the cancer. But the gift from cancer is that I had to figure out who I was. And the reason for that is because, sorry, I'm bashing here, I don't know why. Anyway, we spend so much of our lives trying to become all the things that we need to become to be successful, to attract the right wife or husband, to get the promotion that we want to get, to drive the car we want to drive, to live in the house we want to live, to live in, to that trip we want to plan to South Africa or to wherever. We spend all this time and energy trying to become what we think the world needs us to be, yet we spend so much of our lives trying to find that one person who loves us despite all that stuff for who we actually are underneath all of that, which is a bit of a tragedy, isn't it? But when somebody tells you that your time on this planet has an end date, you're not going to have another Christmas, all of a sudden it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. It's an opportunity to become the most authentic you could ever become. If you had to tattoo words on your arm, I am, the two most powerful words in the dictionary, because whatever follows them determines who you are. What would you tattoo on your arm? It can't be fleeting, it can't be something that you are now but you're not always. Some of those words aren't necessarily positive. Obsessive. I'm obsessive. That's an amazing word and it's a horrible word, depending on what you apply it to. But it was such an amazing thing for me to figure out, who am I? Who do I want to spend my time with? If I've got 6 months left, who are the friends who I want to spend my time with? Am I friends with these people because Facebook tells me we're friends? Is it because we went to school together? Is it because my parents are friends with their parents? Or are these people my tribe? Would you be sitting here right now? Would you be here? Would you be in the job that you're in right now if you had 6 months to live? And if the answer is no, you need to make some changes. If the answer is yes, you found your purpose. Then you are here for a reason, and that's a powerful reason. But why does somebody have to tell you that you've got 6 months to live before you go through that exercise? And then I did the following. I'm sure you know who this lady is. Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. Do we know this one? She's the lady who says, if you want to tidy up your life, take everything that you haven't used in your house in the last year and put it in a pile in your lounge. And then you hold each thing and you say, does it bring me joy? And if it doesn't bring you joy, throw it out. I threw away so much. In fact, sometimes I hold my children. Does it bring me joy? And I throw them out. I put her to shame. I gave stuff away. I sold a big house and I moved to a smaller house. I don't drive the car I used to drive. Everything in my life changed. Because how much do you need? How much do you need if you're dying? How much do you need if you're not dying? Why should it be different? But I put her to shame. But I was still a victim. Because here's the thing. I know that we are sitting here and part of what you've been doing over the last couple of days has been problem solving. And I love that. You're in logistics. So that is problem solving. It's getting something from A to B. And how do we do that? We need to solve this thing in between. Am I right in saying that? But when we focus on the obstacles, and the obstacle is our sole focus, we become victims of the obstacle. I became a victim of cancer because my entire existence was beating cancer. So on this day, I picked up my daughters. I'm divorced, so I've got my girls 1 week, and then their mom has them a week. And throughout the radiation and throughout the treatment over the last 3 years, it's been hard with my girls. And I've had to put in a brave face and pretend that daddy's okay. And I picked up my girls from aftercare, and my eldest said to me, Daddy, I've got this project, and it's due for tomorrow. Now, those of you who are parents in the room understand there's a problem with that language. Because homework is what is due for tomorrow. A project, it is what is due for 2 weeks' time. And she said, oh, I'm sorry, Daddy, I don't know what happened, I forgot. And then I said, well, what is it? And she said, no, it's the solar system. It's the one where you have to get the polystyrene balls and you have to put all the planets together and paint them and put them, string them out and hand it in tomorrow. I was like, oh, goodness. So off we go to a shop. And I'm slumped over the steering wheel waiting for a traffic light to change so we can go to a craft shop. And I'm really taking strain, I'm battling. And this little voice pipes up from the back and she says to me, Daddy, are you okay? Silence for a bit, and then I said, Bug, I'll be fine. I'm not feeling great, I'm tired, my head hurts. But if you can just get this thing done and go home, I just need to lie down, just get my breath back, and then we'll work at this project. Then there was silence for a little bit longer. And then the voice piped up, and she said, Daddy, nobody said it would be easy. She was 10 years of age. And I whipped around and I said, where did that come from? You've never heard that from me? Who told you that? Where did that come from? And she got defensive and she said, oh, but Daddy, I don't know what else to say. It took a 10-year-old to give me the slap and the kick up the pants that I needed. To say, Richard, if you continue to think like this, you are not going to survive cancer. Where is that place that you go when the chips are down, when you are facing obstacles that feel insurmountable to you? Where is that place that you go to take your power back? To me, it's an Ironman. The very next day, I put on my shoes and I decided, even if I just walk around the block, I'm going to beat cancer. So that year I went into remission on the 30th of August, 2016. I celebrated huge. And I'll tell you why. Because at that point in time, I was the 118th person on this planet to ever have survived the primary pituitary carcinoma. It was that big. I celebrated. It was amazing. I had 6 months of good training. I tried to put my life back together. I tried to heal from the damage. There's a lot of depression that comes along when people tell you that you're dying. But you can't deal with the depression because you're dealing with the illness. So after that, you now have to try and figure out, who am I? Who am I? Who's this person post-cancer? You will never be the same person you were before cancer, after cancer. That's impossible. And that's why challenges are so amazing. Every challenge that you faced in your life, think about this. After the challenge, you're not the same person. You think differently to before. Oliver Wendell Holmes said this, and it's one of my favorite quotes. He said that a man's mind, shaped around a new idea, can never return to its original dimensions. Once you've learned something new, once you've overcome a challenge, once you've solved a logistical nightmare, you can never go back to the thinking where you were before. Think about that and celebrate the hardship that you go through. And then unfortunately I went in for another MRI 6 months later and I found out that the cancer was back. It had spread again to the underside of the left ventricle. To tell you that I felt defeated and powerless is an understatement, and I guess the best way I can help you to understand this is to give you a picture like that. Those are the two people who scaled Mount Everest first. There were people that died on an expedition, thank you. There are people that died before them. This massive thing, imagine what it took from them to get to Mount Everest first. They get to the top of the mountain, they celebrate, yay, woo, and it's all misty. And then the next minute the mist clears, and there in the distance it's, oh my goodness, or WTF, there's another one. I know what this one took out of me. I know how hard it was to get to the top of Mount Everest the first time, and now I've got to do it again. So much harder the second time. And so this part I want to do quickly. We have an affliction. Every single person sitting in this room has a disease. And that disease is called a negativity bias. We were born positive, and somehow our parents, our teachers, our environment made us negative. Think about this for a second. I don't know if you're aware of this, but we are one of arguably 7 Homo species. As Homo sapiens, one of 7 Homo species. But we are the only one to have survived. Darwin said, theory of evolution, that only the species that are the most adaptable to change will survive and will thrive. In other words, you are only sitting here today because you are part of the human race, which is the most adaptable to change. Yet the first thing that goes through our brains when we go through change is what? Who hit me on my comfort zone? We become negative straight away. And I'll tell you why. Because we've never been the fastest on the planet. We've never been the fittest. We've never been the strongest. We've never been the biggest. We can't even survive out there without shelter, without clothing. So we've been taught, we've learned an innate ability to protect ourselves against everything, which is good. It's why we're here. But it's also our Achilles heel. We have to learn to understand that negativity comes for free, and being positive costs you energy. Being positive is a choice. So in life, change is inevitable, and business change is vital. You don't get anywhere new without change. Yet when change hits us, our response is negative. How are we going to respond? So I don't know if you know this, but your brain, your subconscious brain, cannot think for itself. It relies on your thoughts. Your thoughts are the only thing in life that you've got 100% control over. It's what you think. It's the only thing you control 100%. Yet we're so bad at it. And this is the problem. When we look into the future and we look at the year ahead, we hear things like global recession. We hear things like digital disruption. We hear things like digital transformation and the fourth industrial revolution and AI and singularity and things like that. And we look into the future and we're like, oh, that's bad. Global recession is bad. The minute I think global recession, I put that thought in my brain. Your brain is the most sophisticated filtration system on this planet. Right now, it's filtering out everything. Right now, you can feel every single hair on your head if you've got any. Right now, you can feel the clothes on your skin. Right now, you can smell every other person in this room. Not the deodorant, not the perfume or cologne, not the soap, not the sweat, the pheromones. You are taking all of that in. But your brain learned from a very young age to filter out everything but that you tell it to filter in. So when you say it's going to be a global recession, your brain filters out all the evidence that shows you that that isn't true, because there is evidence like that, that things are okay. And it filters in all the evidence that says, yes, we're about to have a global recession. Who did that? You did. Because of the thoughts in your head. And we learn to understand that we have an incredible power in our brains. The power that can get somebody who is a grade 4 brain cancer victim across the finish line of an Ironman. Just look at that for a second. So there's a thought process that says, why do we blink so frequently? What do you find yourself doing right now? Blinking. Why? Because I told you to blink. Do you get that? The thought that I put in your head was blink. So now you are blink, blink, blink. But you were blinking all the time. You just weren't thinking about it. Do you get it? It's called the law of attraction. Whatever you put in your brain, you're going to attract more of. If you want negativity, put negativity in your brain. Put positivity in and attract more positivity. So I knew that if I was going to survive cancer for a second time, I had to go back to Port Elizabeth, to Shark Pier, Hobie Beach, and go and do an Ironman. But I had to learn to overcome cancer through conscious thought control. Does anybody know who that man is? It's Friedrich Nietzsche. So he coined this phrase, amor fati. It's Latin for love your fate or embrace your fate. Or in your language, love your freight. It was so corny, but thanks for laughing. So he said, love your fate, because it is in fact your life. I've got those words tattooed here above a lotus flower, because a lotus flower grows up out of all the muck. If I didn't learn to embrace cancer, I had to make friends with cancer. I had to say to cancer, if you kill me, I die. And if I die, you die. Shouldn't we be friends? It was a hard discussion, but I had to accept this thing. I had to accept that I couldn't change it. I was doing all the things I could, but I can't physically change that. So it was a really, really long day, and I struggled. But here's the remarkable thing. I had a super sport, a TV crew following me around for the whole day. I was the Ironman story for that year. And I kind of figured they had a story. Whether I finished or not, they had a story. It didn't really matter to them. But I finished. Why? Because I wanted to enough. My time was 10:20. That put me in the top 8% of all the finishers on that day with stage 4 brain cancer. My body gave up halfway through the cycle. It was, Richard, be done. Sorry, dude, don't want to work. We haven't practiced for this, we haven't trained for this. Not happening. And for me it was, no. We stop when I say we stop. We're carrying on. That's the power of the brain. How badly you want it. Again, 3 choices. You can choose not to do it. You fail by default. You can choose to do it until it becomes too hard and stop because it's too hard. No shame in that. Or you can say, I couldn't care what it takes. I want to get to that place so badly. I'll overcome anything. Discomfort sparks outrageous achievements. You don't change anything in your life until you are uncomfortable enough. If you're comfortable, do you change anything? Why do we avoid discomfort? So I need to hurry because I'm running out of time. I learned this. You don't have to get to remission to be a cancer survivor. So right now my cancer is back. It came back in October last year, 3rd time. I choose not to live as a cancer victim. I'll tell you why. So I'm here, I've got cancer, I'm dying. How do I look? I look okay, right? Here's the thing, on any given day that I've got stage 4 brain cancer, I can step out of the convention center and be hit by a bus. The ones in Cape Town look very similar, but they've had somebody take a chainsaw and take the top off so that they can show everybody the mountain and the sea, right? And you're like, no, I'm not leaving here, I'm not going to go to the bus, it's not going to kill me. Then I say to you, okay, well, how about it's South Africa, right? So it could be anywhere in the world. Somebody kills you and you're like, no. Didn't you see the security here? Didn't you see the electric fencing and the guards? And I'm safe. And then I say to you, well, how about this one? That doesn't respect armed responses and electric fencing. It's called a heart attack. And you say, no, Richard, I'm young. I'm healthy. I don't drink too much, although what is drinking too much anyway? I don't eat badly. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I'm not going to have a heart attack. How about you are killed by the thing responsible for most deaths on this planet? More deaths than anything else. What is that? And on the day I'm killed by a mosquito with grade 4 brain cancer, my urn will read, here lies the remains of Richard, tragically killed by a mosquito, died a cancer survivor. You see, on the day that cancer gets me, I'm no longer a cancer survivor. But then I'm also dead, and it doesn't matter. Until that day, I get to live as a survivor of everything. You are currently a survivor of everything you've been through in your life. If you're married right now, you're a survivor of marriage. If you're currently divorced right now, you're a survivor of the marriage and you're a survivor of the divorce. If your car is financed, if your house is mortgaged, you're a survivor of debt. You're a survivor of absolutely every heartbreak, every paper cut, everything that has happened to you in your life, you have survived. Does the quality of your life reflect that? Does how you live your life reflect the life of a survivor? I don't know. You only get to be a victim once. After that, you are a volunteer. Naomi Judd. On the day the doctor said to me, Richard, you've got stage 4 brain cancer, you've got 6 months to live, I'm a true victim of cancer. The day after that, I can't go back to the doctor and say, doctor, please tell me again how I've got cancer. I need to feel like I'm a victim. The doctor says, no, I told you yesterday. I couldn't care. Tell me again. I can't be a victim again. It doesn't matter what you've been through in your life. You're a victim when it happens, and only when it happens. After that, it's your choice. After that, you decide, am I going to act like a survivor, or am I going to act like a victim? You're only a victim once. So, I went through a series of finish lines that year. That's Ironman Wales. I chose Ironman Wales because there are 2 hardest Ironman races in the world, Ironman Lanzarote and Ironman Wales. Ironman Lanzarote seemed too easy for me because it's a really, really hot race. That's part of what makes it really difficult, and I love racing in the heat. Ironman Wales, not so hot. So I went to go and do that. I chose things that were hard because when we do hard things, it enables us to do harder things. Think about that. When we do hard things, it empowers us and enables us to do harder things. All of the races I did that year were all stage 4 brain cancer, and each month the compounded effects of all the treatments I've had more chemo than I care to think about. I went into remission again that year. That's the single gin and tonic I had at a hotel here in Cape Town. And I didn't celebrate, not much anyway, and I'll tell you why. That is what remission looks like. There we go. That is what remission looks like. Nobody says to you it's not coming back. Nobody says to you, you healed, you cleared, don't worry about it. Everybody says just, you never know, it might come back. How is that different to your life? I'm built as an inspirational or a motivational speaker. So I'm going to inspire you right now. Are you ready to be inspired? Great. You are currently sitting here, the oldest that you've ever been in your life. How do you feel about that? Inspired? It gets better. You are currently the closest that you've ever been to the time of your death. If that does not inspire you, nothing I could possibly say will. Don't look at me as the guy with cancer. I've done some pretty remarkable things. I think my odds are good. How are your odds looking? I don't want you to think about that though. How are you living your life? Are you living your life thinking it's going to last forever? It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what religion you follow. It doesn't matter what ideology you follow. There isn't a single one of us who escapes this life in this form like this. So, very quickly, I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to pick just a couple of lessons that I've learned, and then I'm done. So the first one is focus on the goal, because the goal is, an obstacle is something you see when you take your eyes off the goal. Earlier this year, I entered a race called Durban Half Ironman. I'd done no training. After the cancer came back, I went into a trial drug from Israel, and that just really messed up my body. They thought that the cancer had moved to my lungs. I had a bronchoscope done, and I'd been through a really tough time. So I entered this race and I'd done no training at all. What do you think the obstacles were for me? That's the day of the race, my little daughter. I'm very nervous, and the reason I'm nervous is because of 3 things. My obstacles on that day are I have brain cancer. I'm worried about my lungs, I'm back to breathe, and I've done no training. Those are big obstacles. I started to swim. I was coming out of the water, or near to coming out of the water, and I was feeling quite good. And I looked behind me, and all of a sudden there was a wave right on top of me, and it threatened to break right on top of me. And I thought I might just be in time, before it dumps me, I might be in time to push my arm in front, kick, and catch the wave all the way into the beach. That's not how the story ends. This wave took my arm and pulled me around, slammed my face down into the sand, that cuts and bleeding on my nose and my lip and my shoulder. I heard this under the water and this incredible pain. And when I managed to stand up, my cap was gone, my goggles were gone, my race chip was gone, and I looked down, my arm should have been here, my arms were here, but my arm was sitting up over here, and I dislocated my arm. I got hold of the medics and they came to help me out of the water, holding my arm, and we went off to the medical vehicle, and then the doctor said, no, we need to have a look at this, debridement and stitches and arm, and then somebody came to me and they took a picture, one of the race referees. They took a picture and I said, what is that for? And she said, no, look into the camera. Look into the camera and took a click. I said, what is that for? She says, you were DNF. Remember that language? You did not finish. I said, no, we can fix this. It's fine, it's just, no problem, I want to finish. No, your race is done. And then the doctor said, we need to take your wetsuit off. I was like, no, please, we don't have to take it off. I can die in my wetsuit because it's so tight to get this thing off with this pain. And then in trying to get this thing off, as he's pulling and I'm trying to pull my arm because I can't use it, the next minute, whoop, it's back in. So this is what I look like. This is the picture that the lady took of me. And you see my one shoulder's up there, the other shoulder's down there. And after a couple of minutes, I say to him, I can feel my shoulder, I can carry on. And they said, no, we've DNF'd you. I said, bring me the race referee, I want to speak to them, I want to get back into the race. They put me back into the race. They'd then taken my bicycle, so my bicycle wasn't where it should be because they DNF'd me. It was a whole series of things that the average person would have said, you know what, it's not my day, don't worry. Not Richard, I'm determined to finish this thing. This bike, I couldn't use my bars, it was really hard, and in the run, I would run until the pain became too much, and then I would hook my thumb into my race belt and just walk until I could feel my arm again, and then I would run again. But here is the picture, a month afterwards, we found out, you can see the top there, that I broke my shoulder, the top, gone. I finished the race like that. Only a month afterwards, it was like, this thing is still sore, maybe I should go and see somebody. But here is the picture. Do you realize that nothing worthwhile in your life is ever achieved because it is easy? How badly do you want it? What are you prepared to do to get to where you want to get? That's one of my proudest medals. I love it. Why? But here's the thing. Remember there were 3 obstacles before I went to do this race, right? What were those obstacles? Brain cancer, lung issues, and I haven't trained. Do you think I thought about those obstacles once in the whole race? Mark Twain said this, I have suffered some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. I've suffered some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. How many of the things that you see as obstacles to getting to where you want to get are actually obstacles? You are problem solvers. That's why you're here. You are brilliant at problem solvers. How dare you think that an obstacle is going to stop you from getting anywhere? That's why you're here. So, 5-second rule, Mel Robbins coined this. Your brain is divided into 2 halves, the accelerator and the handbrake. We all have the most amazing thoughts in our head that can change our lives, thoughts that can put us in a different place on this day next year. If you do not act on that thought within 5 seconds, gone. When that alarm clock goes off in the morning and you're supposed to go and run and your running shoes are set out there or go to gym, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, snooze. If you just take that from me today, you'll change your life. You've got 5 seconds to act on the thoughts that you have in your head, otherwise they're gone. Number 3, stop feeding your cancers. Do you think that I have cancer? All of us have got cancer. Your cancer is the following. It's your negativity. It's your fear. It's your doubt. It's the past. Those are your cancers. I love asking salespeople this question. How many you think is the biggest number of deals that you can do this month? They do the following. They look up and to the right, which is, I'm accessing memory. Concrete memory. I'm not making anything up. 5. I say, why 5? most number have ever done before. Cancer is your past. Remember in the beginning, without change you can have no future, only a recurring past? You've just gone back to your past to determine your future, which means there's no future. Leave your past behind and step into something different. Number 4, hope is not a solution. Do you know that's Ironman Wales? We were doing a recce of the course, doing a practice run of the course about 5 days before the event, and we got to this big circle in Wales, Kenby, and I said to the person I was with, I said, stop, there's the hope in. And he said, what are we doing? I said, no, just stop. I want you to record a video. The video is on YouTube, and I'm going to give it to you in a very quick second or two. The number of people, especially on social media, through my cancer journey, especially when I was going through a tough time, said to me, you can lose everything, but just don't lose hope. If only you told me that sooner. I wouldn't have had to go to this amazing neurosurgeon. I wouldn't have had to have a brain op. I wouldn't have had to go through all the radiation. I wouldn't have had to be taking 4 different types of cannabis oil. One of them was a suppository and that wasn't great. I wouldn't have had to do any of that stuff. I could just have sat there. And when people said, what are you doing? Hoping. Do you get that? If you want to be in a different place on this day next year, hope is not going to get you there. Hope is what happens when you've done everything you can, all the actions, everything, and then you hope you don't get hit by the pirates in the sea. Right, so, number 5, be a heel seeker. Stop asking for easy. Stop it. Nothing ever substantial happened because it was easy. I want to tell you the story. And let me show you, I'll tell you the story first. I was invited to go to Zambia on a conference with an insurance company. And the hotel is right next to Victoria Falls, the waterfalls. For those of you who might not know, Victoria Falls is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. We all want to see it, right? Who's been to Victoria Falls? Not enough of you. You need to get out more. So here we are at the Victoria Falls. There were 47 people, delegates, at this conference. We had a planned tour, a guided tour, to go to the big falls that morning. Only 4 of us went. Do you know why? It was raining. The heavens opened and this warm, wasn't cold rain, it's summertime, this warm rain it was a lot of rain. But because they were going to get wet, only 4 people decided that they were going to go. Do you think I went? Yes. Yes, of course I went. Here's the video.
Spray! Insane! Insane! You can't even see the fall, you can hear it. Woo! It's like a torrential. So cool to be alive!
How cool is it? Check it out. So they give you a plastic poncho to keep you dry. I don't know what for. There's water coming down, there's water coming up, there's water coming around, there's just water everywhere. So let me just, at this point in time, remind you of something. Up until this point in your life, and I respect it might change, but up until this point in your life, you have 100% survival rate of being wet. You have survived every single time you've been wet. Yet you don't want to go and see one of the 7 natural wonders of the world because you might get wet. How much of our conditioning prevents us from getting somewhere new and different and amazing and exciting? An exciting future awaits you if you're just willing to embrace it and be brave and take the choice. And then lastly, happiness is a feeling and not a finish line. My 2 little girls, McKinnon and Bailey, that's the day after Ironman. It's the beach next to Ironman. That is what happiness looks like. Let me explain it to you a little bit differently. For a year and a half of my 3.5-year struggle with cancer, I was single. And I was unhappy. Because it's really hard to go through cancer. It's even harder to go through cancer on your own. I really wished I had a special person. So I thought, if I could just get a woman in my life, I would be happy. That's how it happens, hey guys? Yes? Just say yes. Right. And I found this woman, her name is Deborah, and she's amazing. And we were dating, and we were happy, but the problem is she lives in Port Elizabeth, and I live in Johannesburg. There's a logistics problem there. It's 1,100 kilometers. So we're happy for a bit, but then we get unhappy because she's there and I'm here. And now we're communicating on WhatsApp, which is the quickest way to say what you didn't mean, and then the fight started, right? So I said to her, we would just be happy if you would move to Johannesburg. And she says, no, I need forever. I need some kind of surety. I need the documentation to make sure that this freight trip is going to be fine. I need you to put a ring on it. I'm like, really? You've been married before, I've been married before, how did that work for you? She says, no, to be happy, I need a ring. So I put a ring on it. Are you happy now? We're happy for a bit, but I don't have a ring. We're not married, but we're not dating, we're kind of in between. If we could just get married, we would be happy. And then we get married. And are we happy? Ooh, we're happy in the beginning because it's the honeymoon phase and everything's great. She's moved to Johannesburg. And then she says to me, Richard, for us to be deliriously happy for the rest of our lives, you've got your own forever little family, your kids. I've got my kids. I think we need our kids. I'm like, what? You want to have a child? She says, yes, if we have a child, I will be happy. I'm like, yo, happy wife, happy life. So we're practicing a lot, and I'm so happy because we're practicing so much. It's great. But then we're both on the wrong side of 45. And now it's ovulation treatment, and we're going to fertility clinic, and if we could just fall pregnant, we would be happy. And then finally, we fall pregnant. And she is complaining about everything. She's got swollen ankles. She needs to pee all the time. She's carrying for 1, but she's eating for 15. And I'm hearing anchovies and peanut butter in the same sentence. And then I say this to her. I say, Deborah, as a man, do you understand what a privilege it is for you to be pregnant? I bet you if I was pregnant as a man, I would not be complaining like that. And then the fight started. If we could just get this thing out of there, we would be happy. And then finally it comes out. And it's the unhappiest time in our lives. I don't remember when last I slept. Everything smells of baby poo and baby puke. The baby's gone yellow because it's got jaundice. This is terrible. And so it goes. Until finally this little alien thing becomes 24. And we're saying, if you would just leave, we would be happy. Be free. Go. Go. And then finally the alien leaves the house. And I look at Deborah. And I say, I don't even know who you are anymore. If we could just get divorced, I would be happy. Isn't that how we live our lives? I'm happy to tell you that none of that is true. That is Deborah. You'll notice she does not have a ring. And here's the best part. And it's really special that I get to share this with you today. Right now, if I get my phone at the back, and I go into WhatsApp, and I look at a chat with Deborah, and I look at her live location, she is currently driving from Port Elizabeth to Johannesburg. She's moving to Johannesburg today. She's going to be there. Thank you. Thank you. She's going to be there in time to fetch me from the airport at 10 to 10 this evening. And we're going to start a life together in Johannesburg. She's going to work with me. Because in her words, Richard, you talk a lot about happiness. You talk a lot about happiness is a feeling. This is on the beach in Port Elizabeth at the end of the year last year. She says, do you know what happiness is? Happiness is now. Do you know the times in my life when I really felt like I was dying? Just to wake up in my house and my girls were in the house with me is happiness. To wake them up in the morning, to kiss them, say good morning, I love you, that's happiness. Every single morning to write them a little love letter while they're dressing for school and put it into their lunch boxes. They don't even get to read them. Their friends read them for them. I love that. Then the other day my youngest comes home and she says, Daddy, I need a bigger box. I say, what for? She says, for my letters. They keep every single letter that I write them. That's happiness. So I would love you to make a list of all the things that make you feel happy. Make a list of all the things you do in your day. Compare those lists and adjust accordingly. I'm not going to play this last video. From me to you, if you desire change, if you want to be in a different place on this day next year, if you want your life to be different, if you want more happiness, I suggest that you... It had to happen. That you start. Thank you so much for having me. I wish you well. All the best. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Crawford! What an amazing speaker. The speaking is not that amazing. The survival is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Just now you just talked about the ring.
Yes.
She got no ring, right?
No.
You got no ring, right?
No.
You know why?
Why?
Marriage has a ring to it.
Oh.
Engagement ring, wedding ring, and suffering. I tell you, we need to follow the example and survive. We need to do the change, do the transformation. The past is the past.
Correct.
The present is a gift. The future is where we are looking for. Thank you, Richard. This is a good gift.
Thank you very much.
Real amazing. It's a bit too long, but it keeps us awake. And this is very, very good. And keep us going on and living. Without much ado, I'm going to the second part of this program. And I would like to call upon the host country, the chairman of SAF, and the person that put all these things together with his team, a great success, Mr. Basil Peterson. Please come and say a few words.
I'm not Stanley, and I'm not Richard. These are great speakers. I'm sad all of a sudden. I don't know. Have you ever had that feeling within this lower part, and you're saying you can't explain it? I think I know why. It's just you work so hard for something. You look so forward to it. You want to bring that change every day. You have a team which inspire you, and you inspire them, and together you go forward, and then it ends. You look forward to it, it comes, and when you start enjoying it, like I've been starting today to enjoy it, it's kind of over. Now that sounds sad, doesn't it? That's not what I want. I want to tell you something. I had a great time. I get up every morning at 5 o'clock while we're down here and say, another day. See great people, listen to some great inspirational speakers. We do what we have to do, the majority of us here, because it's our passion, because we want to bring something back and we want to give to this industry of ours. Now that to me is admirable. That to me is what we are all about. And I don't want to sound like what are those guys called, preacher man. I just want to say to all of you that you made this Congress, not me, not David, not my team, not African Agenda. You made this Congress. And I want to thank you all very much. Thank you. I think it is only proper that I thank all who traveled from far away to come here, wonderful friends. I don't know how many congresses I've attended, but every time there is a new face, there is a new friend I make, there is a new connection being made. In essence, that really should be keeping us going all the time. Yeah. And then, for me, having been in FIATA for a number of years now, I've looked at the people that has led this organization, this association, and what they've brought to this organization all their lives. They've really sacrificed to be here, and they are still here. The majority of them that I know, they're still here. And I really like us all to just say thank you to everyone that has led this organization. Thank you for having done a magnificent job. Thank you. Everyone that has contributed to the program, everyone that has been in this room here with us, everyone that I saw dancing last night, that was great, wasn't it? Everyone that has felt the need to stand up and ask the question, to slide over, man, just that's what makes us who we are. I've maintained that we in this industry, we are survivors. Yes, Richard talks about some, we are survivors. We have to deal with change every day of our lives. This industry is ever changing. I've been in it for 44 years, and for 44 years, I've had to change constantly. Because if I'd stood still, well, man, the dinosaurs would have gone long time. So you have to congratulate yourself. And when I'm listening to him here, I'm saying, well, doesn't that message ring a bell? In this room here, there are many, many survivors of ours. Yes, he's a special survivor, but we are all survivors. If we were not, hey, we would not have been here today. So just take that message with you. I think it would be remiss of me not to thank, some of the sponsors which was here, especially the lead sponsors. I forgot the other, well, at the reception, we were so happy and the wine was so good, and we left this one out. So the sector lead sponsors, which is F&B, Lombards, MSC, C-Track, GMLS, Shipping in General, to say to you, thank you very much for your support. But more than anything, the diamond sponsor here was the Saudi Customs. Anybody here from the Saudi Customs? Well, if ever you see them, tell them I said thank you very much. Thank you very much to all of them. And yes, we should not be, specifically pointing at anyone, but all the sponsors that we share, all the exhibitors that we share, every single one of them, we salute you. And I would like to, would you please come up here, Karen, please. Now, I think if there was anyone that ever have patience, Karen, if there's anyone that ever have patience, like Karen says to me, so what are we doing about the, what are we doing about the presidency dinner? I said, I'll come down and we'll talk about it. 3 weeks later, she sends me another note. She says, well, what are we doing about it? I said, I'm coming down. Come down here, and I meet Carl, and she meets me at the airport, and she drives me around the whole day. We went to 17 places, 17 restaurants and places she drove me around. And for that day, I couldn't find one that I liked, because I like all of them. So I said, okay, I have to think about it. 3 weeks later, she phoned me, she says, have you made up your mind? I said, no. She says, well, time is running out. I said, okay, I'll come down. I come down, and she takes me around again. Some of the old ones we've seen, and we have this listed. And this went on for what? 4 months? Up and down. Finally, we said, okay, this is what we are doing. Let's do the simple things in life. And really, thank you very much, because that was her suggestions. It wasn't mine. And I want to thank you very much, because you made me look good. So thank you very much. Carter and the team put everything together, and yeah, it's been an absolute joy working with you. And yes, you made us very proud. Thank you very much. If that gala dinner is not the same, you're dead. And then there's my own team, you know. I think there's Paul, there's John, there's Jan, who else is there? There's Mike, there's Basil at the back there. I can't see the light is in my eyes there. But, you know, and Raylene, I mean, all these people, Margaret, Raylene, the whole office, Helen, you know, there's Mr. Kaiser, you know, guy went around looking for money and looking. Guys, thank you very much. That's all I can say to you. It's been a great journey. I love you very much, and thank you. To your spouses, to your wives. You know, as much as we men think that we are the bosses, we know we're not. You know, to special thanks to our partners for having allowed us to journey through this, all the time that we've taken from home and having to be in there. You know, my wife likes when I come home quickly. You come through the garage door into the main entrance, and she's there, and I can tell whether I'm in trouble or whether it's going to be a good evening. It's just like when I come in and she says, "I want to talk to you." I know, and that's good. When I come in and she says, I say, "Hello, sweetheart." And then you say, "What is it that I've done, or what is it that I have not done?" So you never know. You never know. But if I did not come home and sit down and we have dinner and I did not rub her feet, you're in trouble. So, you know, for all those days when I'm in the office late and I come home and she's already in bed and did not rub the feet, I'm sorry, sweetheart, wherever you are. I apologize. And I know all of us have things that we need to do as husbands, as wives, etc. But I thank you all very much. And finally, I'd like to thank, you know, FIATA Presidency for having given us this wonderful opportunity to showcase our country and show what we can do, show our beautiful city to everyone else. I thank you very much. I thank everyone in FIATA for having supported us. And remember, everyone that is here today, thank you, and thank you. Thank you.
Well, since we are getting to the closest part, all y'all can see this one. You see, everybody speaks so well, including myself, because of the talking stick. Yeah? This talking stick, we need to pass on to the next host. And I would like to call upon the chairman from KIFA, Mr. B.J. Kim, to come forward to take over the talking stick. Please.
I don't know whether you remember in India when I got this, I choked up. I'm completely emotional because firstly I know the history of this thing and I really respect this talking stick. I don't know whether it was Bill. Bill, were you the president when we got this in Canada? Yes, he was. And the story that was told, even though this is not the original, the story that was told really touched me so much, you know. And I thought, well, you know, I'll wait for the day when we will have that stick. So I would like to say to you, I give you this, and I say to you, the best of luck. Take care of it.
I call the whole team up now. The whole team. you are going to see this whole group in Busan next year. And they are going to take care of you. The Korean hospitality is going to be great. It's not only kimchi. All right, you, after the photograph, you all can get down and I will ask. Okay, that's a good photograph without me, yeah? Okay, thank you, Korea. Mr. Kim, you stay here. Put your back there.
Are you running?
No, the other way. Put it inside. Move that before. Okay. Now I invite Mr. Kim to give us a short speech, an invitation for all of us to be in Busan next year. Mr. Kim.
Thank you. This time is a good evening, good afternoon, good evening. Okay, my fellow FIATA members, I am Byung-Jin Kim, the chairman of Korea International Freight Forwarders Association. As chairman of K.I.T, which hosted and organized the FIATA World Congress 2020. It's an honor to invite you to Busan. The FIATA World Congress 2020 will be held in Busan, Korea from October 19th to 24, 2020, with the theme of Uniting for Global Solution. Since 2017, K.I.T has played a significant role to prepare for successful FIATA World Congress 2020. I would like to invite you to attend the World Congress to better understand the future of logistics industry and share global market information. I make a portrait for my FIATA members. Dear my friend, there are good ships and there are wood ships. The ships that sailed the sea, but I think best ships are friend ships. And may they always be. It has been smooth sailing, and it always be with my FIATA members. I look forward to seeing you in the beautiful marine city, Busan, in Korea. Thank you very much.